can't defend. He's got the outside line for the second part, and he can't hold on.
Going the long way around, we're going to be 3 wide for the lead as they all come to the line. Who is going to take it in the end?
And here comes Lockwood. He's going to make the move to the outside. Quinn tries to force him off a little bit, but there he goes. It's going to be side by side through turn 1.
Will he be able to cover him off? He does. Weaving back to the left-hand side. Reynolds is trying everything. The kitchen sink is being thrown at it.
They're leaning on each other. Coming into turn number 3. It's going to be a drag race through 3 and 4. Coming back to the line. Here comes Trish on the bottom.
Bouchard's going to hold the inside. Tries to be the late breaker here. They're going to be side by side through the final chicane. They bang doors, but keep it clean.
As they're still 4 wide on the run down into the back straightaway. Demerit's looking for a line as well. What is going on in Michigan?
Novak into the fence. They're still beating and banging. And to the line.
He is much faster coming through there. Is there damage on Challenger? Abramitis is ahead. There's going to be a race to the line. Who is going to get it?
No one could have known it then, but when Daytona International Speedway opened in 1959, it marked the beginning of a new era in American motorsports. As a replacement for the old beach road course a few miles to the east, The opening of the high bank 2.5-mile Florida Trial will represented the leading edge of a wave of construction of big paved speed palaces. Before Daytona, Indianapolis was the only American oval track longer than 1.25 miles, and most racing took place on dirt ovals 1 mile or less in length. From the very first Daytona 500, won by Lee Petty in a 3-way photo finish, those high banks proved a favorable venue for wide-open stock car racing. Daytona kicked off the growth of NASCAR as we know it today. Daytona International Speedway's infrastructure has grown and changed to such a degree that it would be almost unrecognizable today to someone who hasn't seen it over the last 20 years. It's an amazing motorsports facility, but one thing hasn't changed over the past 6 decades. No driver considers his or her career complete without notching a victory at Daytona. From Dale Earnhardt, who captured the 598 after coming so close so many times, to 14-year-old kart racers whose racing resumes are just beginning. A victory at Daytona is a mark of distinction. And tonight, it's the penultimate race of the Davidson Builders Truck Series, and it's next on HBR TV. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Daytona International Speedway. 80 laps the race distance here tonight. 74-degree ambient temperature, 74% humidity, partly cloudy skies. Relatively breezy here down in Daytona, 11 miles per hour. Track temperature at 76 degrees Fahrenheit. Practice just about wrapped up here at the Speedway. Let's go down trackside to see who has the best times. Again, these are all draft-related times with just a couple of minutes remaining. The 23 of Mark Collins fastest. The 6 of Caleb Sisk, second quick. Then Skylar Harrod, D. Allen Grote, and then Connor Leach, the top 5. SkunkWorksGraphics.com boys came to play tonight. Tom Barish, 6th quick. Brandon Coleman, Paul Durkee. 35 of Joe Tucker and Justin Lawson, the top 10. Big time draft practice here in the final minutes of the session. You see it going on right now with Chris Goins leading the small pack, and the 9 gets turned off the nose of Sisk. It's just practice, folks. No need to have any hard feelings about it. Goins ends up in the fence as well. Well, that breaks up the drafting party. Again, folks, I just want to get everybody on the same page. Of course, the East Coast dealing with some pretty significant high winds this evening into the early morning hours tomorrow. So we're taking a chance. Hopefully we can get this broadcast in here tonight without any hiccups or interruptions. So if all of a sudden the stream just disappears, chances are I got hit by lightning. Realistically, we just probably lost the power if that were the case, but hopefully we don't run into that. Try and get this thing in. 10 seconds less of the session here before we get into qualifying. And there it is. Clock at zeros. Black and red flag on the session. So just like that, we jump right into qualifying. We'll see who can take the top spot here. Connor Leach may be first to roll. Indeed, he is. Two laps or 10 minutes, whichever eclipses first. And those of you joining us a little late into the session, we'll take a look at the practice results. Again, these are all times in the draft. Mark Collins, Caleb Sisk, Skylar Harrod, DLN Grote, Connor Leach, the top 5. Leach on the racetrack presently. Take a look at the point standings coming into tonight. Zach Millett, fresh off a victory out at Watkins Glen last week, leading the points into this race. 10 points advantage over PJ Cox. Tie for second spot. It's going to be Josh Sisk, Caleb Sisk, that is. Alfie Charon Jr., Mark Collins, your top 5 in the points. Connor Leach crosses the stripe here to start his first lap. Now, you're going to see times here in qualifying significantly slower than what we saw in the practice session. Again, the reason being, in practice, multiple trucks on the racetrack all at the same time, able to pick up a draft from the trucks that are out in front. Big group of trucks means much faster times. NASCAR trucks do not put out a ton of horsepower. A good amount, but not a ton. And they are boxy, not the most aerodynamic things in the world. It's kind of like driving a brick out there with tires on it. So they don't really have the pace in single truck runs like we have here in qualifying. As Leach crosses the line here, goes 52.39 on his first lap. Millett second quick with a 52.43 on his first lap. We'll see what he can pick up here for lap 2. Super Speedway racing, certainly not the forte of Zach Millett. Intermediates and road course is his cup of tea, but he has been improving slightly here on these Super Speedways. Certainly in the draft. See if he can improve here in qualifying as he's right smack in the center of the straightaway into 3. Brandon Coleman goes top of the board. Not for long. Leach gets it back with a 52.36. Millett across the stripe. Does he improve? Not so much. A 46 on his second lap puts him P6. Sisk, a 52.80 his first lap. Currently 16th in the running order. Ninth quick on his second lap, 52.438. First lap for Grote, a 53.004. Grote back to the tri-oval here to lock in lap 2. Should see some improvement here, do we? And we do, a big improvement, 52.42 for Grote. Jumps up just shy of the top 5, position number 6. Welch finishing up his second lap, a 52.44, puts him P12. Chris Elliott out of turn number 4. A 52.46 on his first lap. Meanwhile, Connor Leach still sits atop the standings. A 52.36 is the time to beat. Elliott runs a 56 on his second lap. Not faster, loses about a tenth. Mark Collins in the number 23. Second lap for Mark, slightly faster at a 4.81, still sits 15th. First lap for Brian Torsha, 52.5. Just about 6 minutes passed here in the qualifying session. 4 minutes to go. Meanwhile, Chris Goins puts up a 52.38 on his first lap, third fastest. Torch out of turn number 4. And second lap for Brian Torsha. Does not improve, loses about a 10.5. Chris Goins on his second lap, same thing, doesn't pick up. 52.492 on lap number 2. Chris Goins, though, first lap of 3.85, good enough for third on the grid. And that's going to wrap up qualifying. Just about everybody, in fact, indeed, everyone has taken a time in the session. 25 trucks have set their starting positions for tonight's race. We're going to step aside, get a break out of the way, and we'll be back after this.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head to head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
I met Marcos Garza when we were doing radiothons for St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. We needed sponsors to help us raise money, and he's always the first one to jump in. I would describe Marcos and his team as upstanding, someone you can trust, and he is just a genuine guy.
Marcos has been very generous. He has a genuine concern for people. You need somebody that cares about you. And that's what Marcos is, and that's pretty much what this firm is.
The Garza Law Firm. Let us help.
Back at Daytona International Speedway, let's take a look at the starting grid for the penultimate race of the Davidson Builders Truck Series from Daytona. On the pole position with a lap time of 52.368 seconds with Beer Money Racing, it's the 71 of Connor Leach. Outside front row, missed it by 11 thousandths of a second. It's the 19 of Brandon Coleman. Starting in the third spot, the 41 of Chris Goins in the Popple Pro Ford F-150. Jesse Sperling rolls from the fourth position. Jesse Redding, the number 21, starts fifth. Joe Tucker rolling off from the sixth position. Seventh goes to D. Allen Grote, the number 14. Alfie Charon Jr. in the 9. He'll start eighth. Zach Millett, the 315. He'll start in the ninth position. 10th goes to Paul Durkee. Justin Lawson, the number 18 machine, will start in the 11th spot with Caleb Sisk in the 6th with Skunkworks Racing, starting in the 12th position. 13 starter, it's Derek Welch. Ben McKinnon will start 14th. Chris Elliott in the 129 will start 15th. Mark Collins, 16th. 17 starter is Tony Polk. Tom Barish will roll 18th. Brian Torsha, 19th. 20th, Chris Klein. Starting in the 21st spot, it's the 3 of Skylar Herod. Jeff Ottinger, 22nd. Scott Milner starting 23rd. 24th starter is Jacob Sperling. 25th, Eric Beadle with Beadle Motorsports, the 119 machine. And last but not least, with Lone Star Racing, it's the 05 of PJ Cox. It's your starting grid from Daytona. Field starting to roll away from the grid. Will be green flag racing the very next time by. Once again, let's take a look at the race details coming into this evening. 80 laps the race distance. 73 degrees now ambient temperature, a little more humid at 77%. Partly cloudy skies, the breeze coming down slightly to 8 miles per hour, and a 74-degree track temperature. 2 sets of tires over the wall, 65% fuel load will be the recipe in the pits for the drivers this evening. 1 fast repair, 3 green-white checkers if necessary, and only if necessary. Couple of stream chatters. Albert Anderson not in the cockpit tonight. Loss of power. Probably watching on his phone. Albert, thanks for checking in and being so dedicated. We got Shugu says, let's go Skunkworks. Thanks for checking in. Field doubling up here behind the iRacing pace truck. Lights are out, so green flag racing this time by. Pace truck's going to make the hard left down pit road.
Ready, green flag.
Green flag in the air, and we are underway from Daytona. Field working out of turn number 4. Connor Leach still with the lead, barely over the 19 of Brandon Coleman. Chris Goins to the back bumper, the 71. The 29 is Sperling drafting with the 19 as they cross the stripe. Complete lap number 1. Top 4 in formation as they barrel down into turn number 1 once again. 5th and 6th have closed the gap. Tucker, Redding, and Grote part of the picture as well. Coleman inches out ahead of the 71 just for the moment there, but the 29 is Sperling losing connection. That in itself actually does hurt the 19, because when the 29 blinks out, there is no draft assist. It just kind of goes away. It's like the guy behind you is just pulled out from behind you trying to pass you. You lose that momentum and that assist. Hopefully Sperling can get that figured out here. Maybe it's just weather related, but nonetheless, something to be cognizant of as this race continues. Oh, contact. The 88 gets into Jeff Ottinger, and we got a wreck. Multiple drivers spinning off turn number 2, and the caution flag is out. Millett getting a piece of this. He spins down to the inside of the racetrack. Don't know if he got really a piece of much of anything. Derek Welch, Tony Polk. We saw the 88. Sperling involved. Jeff Ottinger. Let's try to get a look at it. Yeah, Sperling just drives in the back of the 76, not even centered in the middle of the corner. Gets Ottinger out of shape, shuffles him up the racetrack, and now Sperling ducks down the bottom of the track. Gets collected by Tony Polk. And then it's a chain reaction after that. You see Derek Welch barreling into it. Eric Beadle getting a section as well, and a pretty significant impact for Zach Millett getting in the back of Derek Welch. Scott Milner in it as well. Multiple drivers, at least 5+ involved in this first caution of the evening here at Daytona. See what it looked like on the in-car from Zach Millett in real time. We'll back it up here, see what it started to look like as it began to unfold. Now, you heard Millett throttle up there for a moment, and I gotta say that that's likely due. He was trying to avoid the spinning car, quickly scoot by, but unfortunately it resulted in him in running into the back of the 1 instead. Made the comment, well, before we even went live, you want damage to the back for lifting, or you want damage to the front for staying in the gas? Well, Millett chose the front. Many drivers hitting pit lane here already. Only a few laps in. Many for repairs, but I think everyone's going to top off the fuel. Really surprised to see that many opt to hit pit road. There's a handful that stayed out, really a handful +1. Brandon Coleman, Jesse Sperling, Chris Goins, Jesse Redding, Mark Collins, and Tom Barish. So as we get ready to go back green flag racing, still out on the racetrack here with the pace car lights lit. So we got at least a couple of laps before we got to think about it. But Brandon Coleman's going to be your race leader. Jesse Sperling will restart to his outside. Then it's Chris Goins, Jesse Redding, Mark Collins, Tom Barish. That's your top 6. Those drivers stayed out on the racetrack, did not pit. Then Connor Leach, Alan Grote, Caleb Sisk, Joe Tucker, your top 10. Now, looking through the field, the majority of the drivers that pit from 7th back to the 16th position. Looks like it was fuel only for those drivers. Tony Polk, though, may have taken tires. Could have just been just repairs. We don't know. But looking at the pit time, it could have also been 4 tires. We don't know. Justin Lawson was 29.7 in the pits. Maybe some repairs as well. Same for Paul Durkee, Eric Beadle, PJ Cox, Scott Milner, the same. Alfie Charon, Zach Millett, Derek Welch, Jacob Sperling, all still on the pit lane. As soon as I say that, Millett pulls away. So does Alfie Charon. So Millett and Alfie are going to be able to draft together. So if there's one saving grace, that is it. Unfortunately, Derek Welch still sits in the pits. Now again, we mentioned it in the race, or in the pre-race, that there is one fast repair available for the drivers. However, unless you got it checked, it's not going to use it. A lot of these guys may opt not to use it early on in this race, knowing that there's a big one still coming. There's still an opportunity to tear up the fenders on these race trucks. Jesse Sperling in the pits. Just topping off fuel. Sperling down and away. So we're doubled back up. Pace truck lights are off. So next time by, we'll be racing once again. On board with Brandon Coleman. Now Brandon, you can hear him. He's letting the truck coast. Clutch in. Saving as much fuel as he possibly can at this point. So wrapping up caution number 1. We'll get the restart here at lap 7. Got a bunch of you guys in here watching. If you haven't already done so, go ahead and like the stream. It's free to do. Helps the channel, helps the broadcast, helps the league, helps everybody. And again, it's free to do. Pushes the broadcast out to a little bit wider of an audience, and that's just a positive all the way around. So getting ready for another restart. Pace truck down pit lane. Barney with the green in hand into the restart zone, and it waves, and we are back off and running at Daytona. Out in front of this one right now. Mark Collins all over the tailgate of the 41 as they work out of turn number 4. It's Goins, Collins, Coleman, Leach, and Redding, your top 5 as they get back to the line. Goins trying to hold off Mark Collins. Collins does not want to ride behind the 41. He wants that top spot. Brandon Coleman looking to the inside. Jones maintains the top spot, things settling down slightly behind the 41 machine as they barrel into turns 1 and 2. Coleman still on the bottom. Jesse Redding not likely to be too aggressive in pushing the 19 around teammate Chris Goins. Maybe they're just for some maintenance of the pace, but I don't think he's going to push him too hard, especially if he's going to pass a teammate. Mark Collins, though, still pushing hard in behind the 41. The aggression level coming up for the 23. Let's ride on board with Mark Collins. In behind Chris Goins, back to the tri-oval. I think Mark won't waste a moment here. If he has an opportunity or an open door, he's going to drive right through it. Goins and Collins both drop down to the low lane. now it's Goins, Collins, and Coleman, your top three. Then Redding and Barish now the top five. Leach has slipped back to P7 from that top spot. Might just be taking care of his stuff. Again, a long race, 80 laps the race distance here tonight, 200 miles. Got Lori Vickers in the chat. What happened to the 29? He's still out on the racetrack running 26th. His last one lap down. Of course, a caution would put him back on the lead lap. Not sure what has caused his issue. Did make multiple visits to pit lane prior to... Well, it was actually right after the green flag, so I'm not sure if he had an issue leading up to it. He pit once prior to the green and then looks like twice again after that. Possibly some repairs to be made on the 29 machine. It looks okay for now, but he's crossing his fingers hoping that we get a caution before the leaders lap anybody else. Goins just maintaining that top spot ahead of the 23 of Mark Collins. I think Mark may have calmed down just a bit. Certainly ready to take advantage of the slightest mistake that Chris Goins might make there out in front. Connor Leach drafting up on the 15 of Ben McKinnon. Chris Klein running back right behind the 71 in the 9th spot. Chris is up 11 positions. Bigger pat on the back, though, for Mark Collins, at least at this stage of the game. 14 spots gained for the 23 as he runs in the 2nd spot behind Chris Goins. Zach Millett to the outside of Jacob Sperling for the 24th spot. Not a lot of help for Millett. He's got to pull a draft from somewhere. Miller thought about coming up, and it looks like Millett was there to the right rear of the 31. Joe Tucker dropping to the tail of the field. This may be by design. Didn't like what he was feeling, what he was seeing in the pack. Lifts off the throttle and rolls back at the tail end of the field, but I think he overdid it because now he's going to lose the draft. Stays out on the racetrack. I don't think he had a problem out on the racetrack. I think this is an intentional move, but I think he may have just overdone it. Tucker now definitely lost the draft here. He's in trouble if he can't get it back. Ryan Torsha running in the 13th spot, just ahead of the 29 of Chris Elliott, the 129 that is. Meanwhile, back out front, not much has changed. It's still Goins and Collins, less than a tenth apart, just a foot maybe at the most between the 41 and 23. A truck length between Collins and the 19 of Coleman. Now, as Mark Collins, you run there behind Chris Goins. The temptation, of course, is there to get out of line, make that move for the pass for the lead, but you got to hope that the 19 is going to go with you. The field has now collected the 29 of Sperling. Sperling going a second lap down here, so now the 29, Jesse Sperling down 2 laps in 26th. relatively calm here at Daytona, at least for the time being. Big run moving to the outside line, though. Guys starting to get organized, work that high side, trying to work their way towards the front. It seems to be paying off right now as Chris Klein's got a big run off the nose of Derek Welch. Eric Beadle's closing in, and Zach Millett also following in this pack. Teammate Alfie Charon tucked right in behind Zach Millett as well. So though Millett had an issue in that first caution, was collected, had some damage to repair, he certainly battled back well within the top 10 right now as he battles for the 6th position. On board with Eric Beadle. Sharon drops down to the bottom side there in behind Coleman, trying to make a move. Inside lane checks up just a bit. Didn't take long. Chris Klein has got half a truck ahead of Chris Goins, still not quite clear. Big pushes still coming in behind from Derek Welch, Eric Beadle, Zach Millett, and Brian Torsha, the 5 trucks in the outside line. Then it's Chris Goins, Mark Collins, Brandon Coleman, Alfie Charon Jr., and Jesse Redding, the 5 trucks on the bottom. Top 10 all together as we get back to start-finish. Goins is going to lead them back to the stripe just by about a foot over Chris Klein. Chris has been strong, especially since repainting that truck with the new Beaver Direct colors on that Toyota Tundra TRD Pro. He won out in Atlanta. Obviously, it's a different track, but it's very similar style of racing, super speedway style racing with, well, the old restrictor plate, I guess you could call it. It's tapered spacers these days, but the same principles. The Klein's certainly going to be hard to guard here as we're 20 laps in here at Daytona. Big time run to the outside. Klein gets a truck ahead of Chris Goins. Can drop it down. Does he? He's still thinking about it. No, he stays with Derek Welch. Derek worked very well with the 51, working him towards the front of the field. Didn't want to abandon him at this point. Still has a dancing partner as they work through turns 1 and 2. There by Chris Klein. Did not drop down to close off the run from Chris Goins. Waited for Derek Welch to be able to do the same so that they can drop to the inside together. But now the outside with 3 teammates together. Eric Beadle, Zach Millett, and Alfie Charon running around the outside as Eric Beadle takes the top spot. Trucks are going to need to work together a lot better than the 51 and the 1 as there's an extra truck in the mix. If all 3 of them want to get around Klein and Welch, they need to do it together and work hard to do so. It's not a high probability move to get all 3 trucks around the race leader here at this point. Eric Beadle might need to be a little bit selfish if he gets the opportunity to get clear of the 51 and drop to the inside, if that is where he desires to be. Right now, I'm sure he's comfortable as we have pit stops underway. Chris Goins peels off. So does Jesse Redding, Chris Elliott, all opting to hit pit road right now here, lap 23. Green flag pit stops underway here at Daytona. Chris Goins in the box, fuel only for the 41 Popple Pro F-150. Check back out front. Eric Beadle still battling with Chris Klein into turn number 3 for the race lead. Welch slides up the track, almost contact with Beadle, drops it back down to the inside. Lefts were just below the yellow line for a moment, almost sliding up the racetrack, and now here they come. Chris Klein, Derek Welch, and others going to hit pit road. Klein, Welch, Collins, Tom Barish, Scott Milner, all down the pit road at the same time. Teamwork happening here as Klein overshoots the pit box, has to back it up. That's going to be a problem. He's not going to have anyone to work with. Going to cost him a lot of time. Chris Klein in the box still. 11.53 second stop. He's away first. Might be lucky enough to have some dancing partners before this one's all said and done. Yeah, Mark Collins, Derek Welch are going to come out behind the 51. Even through all that, Collins sliding through the pit box, he still manages to leave first. Checking on the leaders again. Eric Beadle out in front. Millett second, Sharon third as they get back to the line. Brian Torsha running in the fourth position. Continues to lead over Zach Millett, Alfie Sharon, Brian Torsha, and Jeff Ottinger. That's the top five. Connor Leach still quietly running mid of the top 10 in P6. Caleb Sisk up to 7th. Alan Grote 8th. Skylar Harrod 9th. PJ Cox running in the 10th spot. Again, some more pit stops under the green flag. About to be underway. We do expect these leaders to come down very soon and complete their first round of green flag pit stops. Some already have. They stay out. A few drivers hitting pit road. Ben McKinnon, Justin Lawson, Paul Durkee, the three GOATs pitting together as to be able to draft together when they come back to the racing surface after completing pit work. Does anybody take tires here? I don't think so. And as soon as I say that, 15 goes up on the jacks, but it looks like left sides only for the 15. Unless there was a mistake here. No. Left side tires only, Ben McKinnon. 12.7 seconds. Honestly, he could have put 4 on, and it only would have cost him 2 extra seconds. He leaves the pits. And here we go, pit stops for the leaders. Big time exodus from the racetrack to pit lane. Millett, Sharon, Beadle, Torch, Jeff Ottinger, Tony Polk, all on the pit lane the same time. Going to be fuel only for the 9 and the 315. Connor Leach, Caleb Sisk, Alan Grote, Skylar Harrod, all in the pits at the same time. We're seeing a lot of teamwork here tonight, folks. Just saw the HBR TV clan run down pit lane together. Skunkworksgraphics.com group now pitting the same time, and we saw the GOATs come down as well. Connor Leach looks like fuel only for the 71. Likely going to be the same story for the rest of the team, as to allow them to get out at the same time roughly so they can get working together and continue to draft together. The advantage that they have here is it's a little bit larger group for them. They get back out there, they're going to have a bit more pace a little bit sooner than those that maybe only pit with one other truck or maybe 2 other trucks. Got Smitty from Passing Under Yellow. Says, let's go Skunkworks Graphics. Smitty, thanks for checking in. So through that cycle for the time being, Leach took the lead, but not up to speed just yet as Millett and Sharon go on by. So it's Millett with the race lead, Alfie Sharon, Chris Goins, Brandon Coleman, Chris Elliott, the top 5. Not sure what happened with Eric Beadle. He pit with his team here. They all came down at the same time. I don't know if he had a penalty on exit or just didn't get out of there fast enough. Beadle now back at 19th. He pit as the race leader. Wasn't a bad stop at 12.7 seconds. We look a little closer here at Zach Millett. Notice some left rear damage to the truck. Bodywork pushed in just a bit in that left rear wheel well. If you're going to have body damage on a truck at a super speedway, I'd say it's probably the best place to have it if you're going to have it. Get the truck a little tiny bit in yaw in the corner. The right rear is going to get some air, but that left rear should be pretty well guarded from it. Shouldn't really hurt the truck, as it seems right now. Millett doing okay here out in front. He's got teammate Alfie Charon giving him a push, but to his outside, it's Chris Goins and the 19 of Brandon Coleman. Millett sneaks up the middle lane about half a truck width. We got Fear Gamed in the stream chat. Says, let's go Millett and Tucker. Thanks for checking in. As always, like the stream if you haven't already. Crystal saying, let's go HBR. What's going on, Crystal? .32 laps in of 80 here at Daytona. Zach Millett, your race leader over Chris Goins by just about an inch, and it switches up already down the back straightaway. Goins with a big run out of turn number 2 with help from the 19 and 29. Millett back to the bottom, noses out in front, takes the lead back away in the middle of 3 and 4. We'll see if that remains true at start-finish. Line. Chris Goins is going to lead that lap. Vincent Short in the chat says, that S4 guy stream buffering a lot, darn it. Well, Vince, you're over here now. I appreciate it. Hopefully there's no buffering here. If there is, check your internet connection, because we're doing just fine over here. Albert Anderson, keep digging, DW, let's go. Of course, Albert Anderson cheering on Derek Welch in the 1. .34 laps in, Goins has the lead, or does he? It's just back and forth. It's seesaw battle in here between Zach Millett and Chris Goins, but the inside line had a real good run through 3 and 4 that time. Not enough for the top 2 to come up top side and block the run from Chris Goins, but here comes the outside line once again. Another run through the tri-oval. Goins gets alongside Zach Millett for yet another time. Millett out in front now. Alfie Charon in second is also clear of the 41 truck of Goins, but now Charon switches lanes, has a run on it too, trying to make the move on teammate Zach Millett for the race lead. They down the backstretch they go, side by side battle into turn number 3. Chris Klein now pushing Zach Millett, Chris Goins pushing Alfie Charon. Bottom side a little more organized, more numbers on the low lane as well, but that has quickly changed. Now it's just a matter of being more organized. Said it a million times, but I'll say it again. What does it mean to be organized? Well, those lines, there's an outside and there's an inside line, at least for now. We'll probably see 3 wide as this race progresses. But the straighter and more single file that the trucks can appear in their lane, bumper to bumper to bumper to bumper, all the way to the back, the more organized they will be. And in turn, the faster they will be, the easier to be to make ground on the opposite lane. Now, both lines get organized. It'll be kind of a dead heat. Bit of a cat's game between the top and bottom, but if you see drivers there just behind the 19, the 129 of Chris Elliott, a truck length off the back bumper there, that slows that lane down. Those top 3 trucks can't produce as much energy, as much momentum as the bottom side that has more trucks that are more organized. So the bottom side, at least for the time being, seems to be the place to be. It's not always the case. Just as soon as I say that, though, Alfie Charon takes the top spot, drops the low side once again in front of teammate now Zach Millett. It's going to be the pusher in this case. 38 laps in of 80, almost to halfway here at Daytona. Chris Goins powering back around the outside to the race lead with help from Brandon Coleman. Big time push, even in the middle of the corner. The 19 being awfully aggressive here. He wants to get towards the front, tired of chasing the 41 at this point. There you see it now. Coleman drops down to the inside. It's going to kind of lose some of the momentum there for Chris Goins. And now Coleman's going to make a move here for the race lead with help from the 9. Tell you, the bottom seems to be the place to be, at least for now. Now Brandon Coleman, your race leader, as Millett switches lanes. He goes now to the outside of Alfie Charon. Down a ton of help, and Chris Goins won't be long before he's all over the back bumper, and he's there now. Bit of a push that's going to send the 315 back to the point. Down into turn number 1, Zach Millett retakes the top spot. Does he have room to clear? He doesn't. Now Coleman battling back on the low side with help from, well, Zach's teammate, Alfie Charon, off turn number 2. Drag race down the back straightaway once again. These guys are aggressively but cautiously battling for the top spot here at Daytona as we are halfway. We're going to step aside, get an HBR TV side-by-side break out of the way. Stay with us, folks. You won't miss a minute of the action. We'll be right back.
I met Marco Scarza when we were doing radiothons for St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. We needed sponsors to help us raise money, and he's always the first one to jump in. I would describe Marcos and his team as upstanding, someone you can trust, and he is just a genuine guy.
Marcos has been very generous. He has a genuine concern for people. You need somebody that cares about you. And that's what Marcos is, and that's pretty much what this firm is.
The Garza Law Firm. Let us help.
Daytona under our second caution of the night. You saw it there in the side-by-side. It's triggered some yellow flag pit stops for all involved. Drivers opting to throw some tires on at this point. Looks like Chris Goins, though, choosing to go with right sides only, or maybe just fuel only for the Popple Pro F-150. It's going to get him the race lead. You saw the caution involving multiple drivers. It looked like it started with the 20 of Tony Polk and Connor Leach. We'll watch it here as it slowed down just a bit. See the 77 and the 20 down the low lane, the black truck, and then the red and white 71 in behind. Looked like maybe an ill-timed push upset the 20 truck on entry to turn 3, and then there it goes. I mean, that's the wreck from there. Leach does a good job hanging on to it. Tucker's going to go around. The 20's going to slide up in front of the 35. Sisk thought he got through, but then all of a sudden Tucker just clips the left rear. Alan Grote comes in late, nowhere to go. Skylar Harrod dives it to the bottom. He might get clear of Tucker. He did. Jacob Sperling also getting by. Been a pretty clean race, I got to admit there. It's only our second caution of the night. 44 laps in of 80, so laps winding down in a hurry here from Daytona. Mark Collins getting the wave around there, so he'll be back around in the lead lap. Actually, Collins 2 laps down, so he's just getting one of those laps back. 22 truck still on the lead lap. 23rd of Joe Tucker, 24th Tony Polk, Jesse Sperling 25th, Mark Collins 26th. Tucker and Polk 1 lap down, Sperling and Collins 2. Still a good handful of trucks in competition here at Daytona, still out on the racetrack, and we still have yet to see the big one. You know it's coming, it always does. Lights atop the iRacing pace truck are out, so of course that means we're going back to the green flag the next time by. It'll be lap 46. Be 35 laps to go. And at a 65% fuel load, I think we still have one more round of pit stops to be concerned with, be it under the green flag or otherwise. I don't think anybody has enough fuel to make it all the way to the end. Could get awfully interesting. Pace truck about to go hard left down pit road. Into the restart zone. Green flag in the air. Great restart for Chris Goins. Not so great for Zach Millett. Line tucks right up underneath the 41 of Goins through turns 1 and 2. Millett still had a good run, even without the drafting help. He's going to tuck it down low to the inside in front of Alfie Sharon, in behind Chris Klein in the 3rd spot. Sniff the draft all the way down the back straightaway off Chris Goins and Chris Klein. Back to the stripe, unsure if it was Barish or Goins who led that lap. The 55 was right there. Off the nose once again. Derek Welch. Helping another driver to the front of the field. Now the battle between Welch and Barish, the top of the field here. At the line, Welch might have led it. Barish second, Coleman third, Goins fourth, Lawson fifth. It's 2 by 2 by 2 by 2 all the way back. Somebody better be looking for an arc at this point. Derek's still out in front. Big time push off the 19 of Coleman. You got the 20 involved as well. I don't think the 20 is on the lead lap. No, that's not the 20. 20 is Tony Polk. There is a 20 in the mix up here at the front of the field, but once again, the wrong number on the truck. The 19 of Coleman, that one's right. Justin Lawson should be in the 18, has the 20 on board. Now we understand. So we got that figured out, or do we? All right, at least we got that worked out. Still the battle for the race lead. Tom Barish, Derek Welch. Really the top 5, top 6 all fighting together, and it gets worse. 7, 8, 9, 10, and so on all the way back. Tenths of seconds from first to worst as they get back to start finish. Barish leads the lap here, 31 laps to go. Derek Welch second for now, didn't take long. Goins pushing the 55 down into turn number 1. He gets up into that second spot. Really pushing Barish way out in front. This could be bad news, really. You get too far out in front, you don't have as much draft assist anymore, and the rest of the pack can reel you right in. It's a big-time run for Barish and Goins for the time being, and for now it's working out. He still maintains half a truck length ahead of Derek Welch. Not for long, though, into turn 3 off the nose of the 19. Welch gets a big push into 3 and 4. Level of intensity is picked up significantly here at Daytona. 2 wide, front to back. Everyone jockeying for position here in the late stages. Barish still out in front. Goins giving him a solid and clean push. Welch drifts back to about the 3rd spot. Chris Klein to his inside. With a big run. Gets a nose out in front down the back straightaway. See if Goins can give Barish another big push down into 3. And Welch still exchanging that top spot. multiple times every lap. Coleman getting frustrated here, looking to the outside of Derek Welch, hoping somebody might decide to make it 3 lanes. Still think it might be a bit too early for that, but you're probably going to see it before it's over. Say Tom Barish seems relatively comfortable out leading this race. He's got a very smooth and consistent Chris Goins drafting with him down the backstretch. Every time the outside line tries to pull alongside and take that spot away, Goins is able to give just enough draft help to the 55 of Barish. Help him maintain that top spot. A little slip up off the bottom for Barish. Now he's in the middle lane, pulls it back down to the bottom. Slips up on exit. Goins staying right with him. Got to be frustrating as a trailing driver here. What is it going to take? What do you have to do to complete this pass? Or are they just really being that patient? Very well could be the case. Save your stuff. Again, you can't win this race at this point. Still got a lot of racing left to do before we can call a winner here. Coming up on 25 laps to go. Barish still out in front as Derek Welch starting to slip back a bit as Coleman works to the outside. They're 3 wide for now, but Welch is going to get hung out in the middle here, it looks. Shuffling to the back of the pack, Tony Polk gets jived down to the low side, below the yellow line, gets back in line. Everyone stays going the right direction, and we stay green. Welch no longer caught in the middle, but the 19, that move didn't pay off for him either. He tried to go around Welch. Hung out the one there in the middle of the group. Coleman ended up slipping back as well, and he still rides in behind the 1. Oh, we got trouble. I don't know how bad of trouble, but we had some trucks in the fence, but we stay green, or do we? Still wrecking, still under green. Connor Leach with some damage. The 31 of Scott Milner involved in this as well. I don't know how we didn't get a yellow flag out of that. Tough break for Connor Leach. That thing is tore up from the floor up. You see the right front towed all the way in. Looking like a modified. Connor's going to have to use the fast repair here if he's even got it left. He does. And his chances of winning this have just about gone out the window. Don't forget, as these guys race at the front of the field, we still have green flag pit stops to be concerned with. 24 laps to go from Daytona. If we pit, I'm thinking if we're pitting now, which you may not see anybody do just yet, I think we can make it to the end from here. 23 laps to go from Daytona. We're going to jump out, take a quick side-by-side break. If we start to get green flag pit stops, we will jump right back in. But stay with us. You won't miss a minute of the action. We'll be right back.
I met Marco Scarza when we were doing radiothons for St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. We needed sponsors to help us raise money, and he's always the first one to jump in. I would describe Marcos and his team as upstanding, someone you can trust, and he is just a genuine guy.
Marcos has been very generous. He has a genuine concern for people. You need somebody that cares about you. And that's what Marcos is, and that's pretty much what this firm is.
The Garza Law Firm. Let us help.
track at Daytona. We got a wreck here at start-finish, and here's the big one. Chris Klein kicked it off, and it continues. Multiple drivers involved. Jeff Ottinger, one of them. Brandon Coleman. Late caution in this race, and that's going to set up everybody for a yellow flag pit stop. Final pit stop of the day. Let's see what happened here with the 51 at Klein. Right rear off the 19 of Coleman. Coleman's going to take a huge hit to the inside. We'll check on that one in a minute. Coleman locks it up still, slides almost back into the dry oval. Looks like Chris just slipped up off the bottom a bit. Coleman didn't take as hard of a hit as we thought. So there you see it. And under the caution, Derek Welch is your new race leader. He's in the pits. So is everybody else. Derek Welch, fuel only for the one. Drops the jack. He's going to be out of the pits first, I think. A few trucks staying out of the racetrack, but they might be lappers. Now, we've talked about this so many times at the super speedways, how tires are important, but they're not that important. They're not Southern 500 Darlington important at Daytona. We only had 2 sets over the wall to work with tonight for these drivers. But with that said, what do fresh tires really gain you at a place like Daytona or even Talladega? It's not so much better lap times, because you're going to run about the same no matter what, especially if you're in the draft, but those fresh tires do allow you to be very aggressive late in this race in changing direction as far as top lane, bottom lane, middle, without upsetting the truck so much that you spin it out just because you're trying to be aggressive. You got the grip underneath you versus those guys that might have some more wear on their tires. They got to be a little more precise and a little more ginger with their steering inputs. But with that said, it does appear that the top 10, well, nobody took 4 tires within the top 10. Paul Durkee in 11th, 14.7 second stop. That might have been 4 tires. Eric Beadle might have been the same. He's running 14th. And then Jeff Ottinger, Tony Polk, Brandon Coleman, those guys all involved, I believe, in that caution. So their extended stay in their pit box might just be repairs only. Got 18 laps to go here from Daytona. Still a couple of laps. Well, 1 lap before we go back to the green as the pace car lights are out and the wave arounds have begun. So we'll get formed back up. Double file. Be Welch, Goins, Barish, Millett, PJ Cox, the top 5. Then Alfie Charon, Jesse Redding, Caleb Sisk, Alan Grote, Ryan Torsha. Your top 10. Albert Anderson in the stream chat says, DW looking pretty sporty tonight. You know, that he is. He's been up towards the front quite a bit this evening. Started 13th. Didn't take long to get him into a battle within the top 5. He's been a great pusher most of the night. But here he sits in the top spot, in control of the field as we get ready for a restart. Chris Goins will be to the outside. We've seen the inside kind of be dominant here in the majority of this race, but if the outside gets formed up and organized very well, they may still have a shot at this. You've got some fast guys here in super speedways especially on that outside line, all lined up ready to go. It's Chris Goins, Millett, Alfie Charon, Caleb Sisk, Alan Grote. Those are some heavy hitters in that outside line. They can handle being pushed. They can handle pushing. We'll see how it turns out. It'll be 17 to go when we get back to the green flag here. Barney with the green in hand into the Geico restart zone, and we're back underway here at Daytona. Goins gets a push out in front. Welch on the bottom with another run to the low side. Tom Barish going to try and repay the favor. Welch pushed the 55 to the race lead earlier on this evening. We'll see if the 55 can push Welch back to the top spot. But the outside line, as we said, very organized, very fast. And the top 2 now have cleared Derek Welch. They can stay or they can come back down. They opt to stay. Alfie Charon does it, and he's not clear. He gets into the one of Derek Welch. Welch saves it. That's why you cannot hesitate. You're either going to come down and make the move, or you're going to hesitate and hit the guy. And luckily for Derek Welch and Alfie Charon alike, it was just incidental contact and no crash, but Derek Welch is certainly not going to be happy about that. Alfie Charon goes to the race lead to the inside of Chris Goins into turn number 1. Welch pushing the 9 for all he's got. He wants that lead back. He may jump right to the outside. He's got room to do it. Nope, stays tucked in. Does he go to the wide? Nope. Stays put. Gonna push the 9. Tom Barish there, though. I bet if the 1 pulls on the line, the 55 is gonna go with him. PJ Cox, kind of the unknown here, coming in from Lone Star Racing, has no allegiance. He's trying to win this race. He's gonna go with whoever's gonna give him the best opportunity for a checkered flag. But here we go, out of turn number 4. Alfie Charon with the lead, coming to 15 laps to go. Swings to the outside. Chris Goins is there too. Derek Welch timed it perfect. Slid up in front of the 41 of Chris Goins. Out of turn number 4, he had the run. Takes the race lead away from Alfie Charon. Oh, we got trouble. Ottinger in the fence in the tri-oval. We stay under the green flag still. We got drivers wrecking. Tucker's in the fence now. Oh, and Ottinger slides up in front of Connor Leach, and we still stay under the green flag. Meanwhile, out in front, battle for the race lead once again. Caleb Sisk now to the inside of Derek Welch. 14 laps to go. Yep, business has certainly picked up. Welch back to the point. Half a tenth in front of Caleb Sisk and Chris Goins. Inside line a little bit more organized. The outside only 6 trucks. If they get lined up pin straight, they might be able to pull this off. But as it stands right now, Caleb Sisk, a nose out in front off turn number 2. Welch slides up the racetrack on corner exit. Sisk loses connection for a brief moment. He's back in it. Alan Grote there still pushing the 6 down the back straightaway. 17 laps to go. The 6 still out in front. Alan Grote in behind. Alfie Charon behind the 14. Tony Polk, the lap truck up top. It's going to throw a curveball into the mix. And Coleman, Grote goes around off the nose of the 9. Back to start finish, 11 laps to go, 12 laps to go, and we stay green again. Grote trying to get back up to speed. Take a quick look at it here. It was definitely off the nose of Alfie Charon. Alfie looked to the inside, and Grote came back down, but Alfie was there. Very similar to Alfie pulling down and making contact with Derek Welch, but a massive crash for the 14 of Alan Grote. We'll watch it one more time from another angle. Alfie jumps to the low side. Since then, the caution has since come out. I don't know if that's due to that incident that we were watching the replay for, or if more has happened. It looks like Caleb Sisk has slipped back to P5. Let's see if we can get an idea of what's put us under the caution at this point. Oh, there we go. Coleman gets the fence off of the nose of Chris Goins. We'll back it up further here now that we know where this one's kicked off from. Again, exit of turn 4 once again. We're just about 3 wide. You see the 41 of Goins way up top. Looks like Coleman started to come up. I don't know if he didn't realize that Goins was still there hanging on his right rear or what the case may be, but not clear, not clear. So Justin Lawson from the race lead. He's going to hit pit road. Some other drivers going to do the same. Chris Goins obviously involved in the incident. Eric Beadle still looking pretty good. Truck doesn't look too terrible at all. Alfie Charon Jr., Zach Millett. These guys must have an extra set of tires, or they're just trying to throw some extra fuel in the truck to keep the spoiler out of the air. So left side tire change for the 315. He drops the jack and goes. Derek Welch, Chris Klein, Caleb Sisk, PJ Cox, Tom Barish, the top 5 as we get ready to close this one out here. Inside 10 laps to go. Again, if necessary, 3 attempts at a green-white checkered finish, if it comes to that. Should get the 1 to go here this time by. It'll be 9 laps to go, which would give us about 8 laps of green flag racing to settle it. Interestingly enough, though, the drivers that came down on this caution to top off for fuel, some obviously taking 2 tires as well, but fuel-wise, it might be the most important move here. Again, it's a strategy play. Those guys that made those pit stops were outside the top 10 at the time. They might be trying to set themselves up to be in a good position if we get a green-white checkered finish. They should be good to go on fuel for sure, versus those drivers that did not pit during this caution. They might need to be questioning that just slightly. Again, while we have the opportunity here, let's talk about upcoming races here at HBR TV. Of course, we've got the Numb Racing League here tonight in the trucks, but they're back in action tomorrow in the AAMCO Transmissions Late Model Stock Tour. Going to be at Gateway, Worldwide Technology Raceway at Gateway tomorrow. Interesting racetrack selection for that particular type of car. Very, very high speed considering what they typically run, these little tiny short tracks throughout the Southeast. Then Thursday, we've got the second race of the season for the Lone Star Racing Cup Series, also sponsored by the AAMCO Transmissions. That'll be at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. And then Sunday, back in the No Bull Racing Series, we'll be out at Talladega Super Speedway for another playoff race at a super speedway. That should be a fun one. And then next Monday, we kick off the IROC Challenge Series. They're going to be running the late model stock race cars this season in their league as well. So lots of action coming up here at HBR TV in the coming days. Be sure to tune in for it. Share those broadcast links as soon as you can find them. Check us out, hbrtv1.com. Click the live link for the broadcast link. That'll take you to YouTube. So far, I've got them all in 2024. I haven't forgotten one yet. Hopefully I can make it at least to February. Also, like, follow, share, subscribe, youtube.com/@HBRTV and the number 1. It's free to like, folks, and it helps us more than you know. We do appreciate it. Help us out. Click that like button. Field working off turn number 4. It'll be 8 laps to go to get the green flag here as the pace truck about to head down pit road.
Green flag.
Green flag back in here. Chris Klein, a nose out in front over Derek Welch. PJ Cox pushing the 51 into turn number 3. Caleb Sisk in behind Derek Welch. He's going to be a good drafting partner, but certainly a threat for the win. Tom Barish, no slouch either. And Skylar Herod into the top 6 as well. Things changing here at the front of the field, but it's about to get interesting. Caleb Sisk blinking out once again. Got to be careful there. PJ Cox very aggressive in behind Chris Klein, trying to push everything he's got out in front of him. 7 laps to go here from Daytona. I don't think we're done wrecking, folks. Knock on wood, but I don't think we're done. Rooting and gouging through the mid-pack. Truck getting pushed below the yellow line for a moment. It might have been Alfie Charon. Charon running in the 10th spot. Millett now 11th. Coming to 6 laps to go. Derek Welch leads that lap. Sisk running second. Klein with a run with PJ Cox pushing once again down the chute into turn number 1. 6 laps remaining. That third line starting to group up in the top side. Zach Millett ahead of Chris Goins. Trying to make something work. I don't think they've got enough help, though, but they're certainly trying with all they've got. Chris Goins pushing the 315 in that high lane. He's got him up into the top 5. Chris Goins and Zach Millett. Now Jesse Redding and Eric Beadle going to slot in. They're going to try and make it 4 cars in the ultra-high line. We are 3 wide, battling here in the top 10 at Daytona. Coming to 5 laps to go. Battle for the top spot between 3 different trucks. It's Welch, Klein, and Millett at the stripe. Welch leads it. Millett second, Klein third, and they continue to battle down into turn number 1. PJ Cox, the meat in the sandwich right now, trying to keep it off of the drivers around him to prevent a major incident here at Daytona. 4.5 laps to go. They work down the back straightaway, still 3 wide, all the way back 4 rows for the 12th position. Top 9, top 10 in formation like fighter jets through turns 3 and 4. Derek Welch still with the race lead. The outside, still Zach Millett and Chris Goins, Jesse Redding and Eric Beadle trying to do something. 4 laps remain here from Daytona. Welch trying to get a win. First one of the season for the one if he can pull it off. Jay Cox slips up the track, almost contact with Zach Millett, trying to get around the 51 to climb, but nowhere to go. Middle line starting to move. Chris Klein, PJ Cox, Skylar Herod, Alfie Charon. Blinking out again is the 6. Still, they continue to run 3 wide all the way back 9, 10 spots. Alfie slots down in front of Milner behind Barish, and Milner gets crossed up into the Eric Beadle machine. Still no caution. We race back to start finish. 3 laps to go. iRacing's really got to work on that. Oh, caution does come out, though, with 3 to go. So that is going to send us to NASCAR overtime. Beadle already in pit lane, but let's take a look at the incident here. It puts us under caution once again. Caution coming out very, very late. We're just going to rewind this. And unfortunately, that's just kind of how it goes here at Daytona. The tolerances for iRacing to throw a caution are really poor, I got to say. At speed here, let's see what happened. Jacob Sperling off the nose of the 88. Sends Milner up the racetrack into Beadle. Let's take a better look at it. I want to see this one from the 88's perspective. Go on the roof cam and slow things down a bit. And this is on board the number 88 of Jacob Sperling. He's going to switch lanes here, or I think switch lanes. Milner may have come up. We're going to find out here in just a moment. Tough to call. Could just be a racing deal if you ask me, but nonetheless, it was a big racing deal at the end. Brian Torsha gets a piece of this. Alan Grote gets clipped in the right rear. Another half a foot, he might have been all right, but I think Grote may have saved it here. If anything, just spun her around, put it in the grass. Live to fight another day. Scary moment for the 14. Trying to get that thing woed up without getting drilled. So Derek Welch continues to lead as we get to NASCAR overtime. It's Welch, Millett, Klein, Sisk, and Goins the top 5. With that, we're going to step aside before we go to overtime. Get a quick break out of the way. We'll be back after this.
Masker can't defend. He's got the outside line for the second part, and he can't hold on.
Going the long way around. We're going to be 3 wide for the lead as they all come to the line. Who is going to take it in the end?
And here comes Lockwood. He's going to make the move to the outside. Quinn tries to force him off a little bit, but there he goes. It's going to be side by side through turn 1.
Will he be able to cover him off? He does. Weaving back to the left-hand left-hand side. Reynolds is trying everything. The kitchen sink is being thrown at it.
They're leaning on each other. Coming into turn number 3. It's going to be a drag race through 3 and 4. Coming back to the line. Here comes Frisch on the bottom.
Bouchard's going to hold the inside. Tries to be the late breaker here. They're going to be side by side through the final chicane. They bang doors, but keep it clean.
As they're still 4 wide on the run down into the back straightaway. Demerit's looking for a line as well. What is going on in Michigan?
Novak into the fence. They're still beating and banging.
Oh
and to
goodness.
the line.
He is much faster coming through there. Is there damage on Challenger? Abramitis is ahead. There's going to be a race to the line. Who is going to get it?
Back at Daytona International Speedway, getting ready for our first attempt at a green-white checkered finish. Derek Welch with the race lead, going to restart with Zach Millett to his outside. Then it's going to be Chris Klein, Caleb Sisk, and Chris Goins, the top 5. The question is, Derek Welch pit last at lap 61. So did Klein, so did Sisk. Do they have enough fuel? Can they make this green-white checkered? I think they can make this one, but if there's another, I think they're going to have to pit. We're going to see. Pace truck about to pull down pit lane, and we're going to settle this once and for all. Green in hand into the restart zone. Green flag waves. We're back underway at Daytona. Great reaction time out of Zach Millett. Stays right alongside Derek Welch out of the tri-oval. Down into turn 1. 2 laps to go. Chris Klein pushing Derek Welch with everything he's got. Outside line starting to move just a bit, but the inside moving a bit more. Welch able to stretch it out just a bit over the outside, and Zach Millett. Millett now, he's got the 6 of Caleb Sisk pushing him. Top lane, it's Millett, Sisk, PJ Cox. Oh, big wiggle, Chris Klein, too much of a push. Welch saves it. Coming to the white flag, final lap here from Daytona. Big run to the outside, Zach Millett trying to get around Derek Welch. It hasn't been the preferred place to be, and we got Jacob Sperling in the fence, but we're on the final lap. We're going to race back to start-finish. Inside lane, a big run through turns 1 and 2. Does the outside have enough to make the push? Bit of a run, but more of a run again. It's kind of what we saw in the last lap. Welch with the lead into turn 3 for the final time. Outside line's broken up. Now it's only 3 trucks. Now it's turning into PJ Cox. He's getting shuffled to the outside. Sisk slides up the racetrack. No help for Millett. Off turn number 4 for the final time. Derek Welch with Chris Klein pushing. Coming to the checkered flag. Derek Welch is going to win at Daytona. Chris Klein finishes second. Chris Goins comes home in the 3rd spot. Strong win for Derek Welch. He might even be out of fuel. Nope, he's got fuel. Fireworks going off on the back straightaway. Not a whole lot of fireworks on that final lap. They got it done with one attempt at that green-white checkered. Derek Welch coming around to start finish. Let's see if he's got enough fuel for the celebration. Derek's going to enjoy this one. Albert Anderson said it early on. Derek Welch looking sporty out there, and he did. Sporty all night long. Started 13th, wins the race. Nice job. We're going to step aside, get one more break out of the way, get our top 3 finishers in the booth after this. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
I met Marco Scarza when we were doing radiothons for St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. We needed sponsors to help us raise money, and he's always the first one to jump in. I would describe Marcos and his team as upstanding, someone you can trust, and he is just a genuine guy.
Marcos has been very generous. He has a genuine concern for people. You need somebody that cares about you. And that's what Marcos is, and that's pretty much what this firm is.
The Garza Law Firm. Let us help. Back at Daytona, the penultimate race of the Davidson Builders Truck Series in the books. Derek Welch has taken the checkered flag. First win on the season for the driver of the number 1 and owner of Numb Gaming. Let's pull the driver of that Toyota up into the broadcast booth. Derek, it's Steve with HBR TV. You got a copy?
Yes, sir.
Derek, congratulations, man. You looked super determined and aggressive all night long. Started 13th, worked your way into the top 5. You were a good pusher for much of the night, but then it was time to lead. You got that thing out front and never looked back, man. Tell us about that green-white checkered finish.
Millet can add to his bumper collection. Welch beat him at Daytona too. So, but anyway, yeah, I was nervous with Millet being out in front. Millet's Millet, but I was pretty confident. I had a great pusher, Chris behind me. Chris said he wasn't going to leave my bumper, so puts me back in the playoffs and. Team effort tonight, man. Me, Chris, even Tom Barish, man. It's easy for me to push them because I know exactly where they're gonna go on the track, how they run, and it just makes my job easy pushing them guys to the front. Good race.
Certainly was a fun one to watch. Relatively clean, of course. We had your share of cautions that you do run into at Daytona, but a good race overall. Really was something to watch. You and your NTRL teammates, Tom Barish, Chris Klein, and you guys just working together tonight. It was really impressive. It's clear that you guys have been racing together for a long time. That really makes a huge difference. A lot of teamwork this evening, and it ultimately pays off with the checkered flag, getting you back into the championship contention here as we go into Las Vegas next week. How do you feel about your chances out in Sin City?
I like Vegas. It runs like a super speedway. I mean, like here at Daytona, but you do have to wash the tires. But we're gonna give it our all, and try to beat Millet at Vegas, add to the collection here. But we're gonna give it our all, and I don't know, hope for the best.
Derek Welch, sounds like you didn't expect to be here tonight.
How my seasons went and how my last 3 weeks going, I haven't finished. This is the first race I've finished out of probably 10 of them in the last 10 races. I've been knocked out of so many. So, how my luck's been, no, I didn't expect to be here tonight. I expect to been kicked back and probably in bed right now.
Well, you end up taking the checkered flag, man. Congratulations. An awesome run here tonight. And who do you want to thank before we let you go?
My teammates for sure. Chris, sticking behind me. Tom Barish. Mark had a problem with the weather tonight. His power kept going in and out. So, unfortunately for him, he's probably gonna get knocked out of the playoffs. But NTG, Sim Gear Central, Mark Sports, DEP Graphics, Davidson Builders, especially Davidson Builders. He does tons for us. Mr. Kyle Davidson. Everybody at NTG, everybody at NTRL. This has been an amazing ride, and hopefully we keep going strong here at NTRL.
All right, Derek. Well, again, congratulations, man. Thanks for talking to us. Good luck next week.
Thank you, sir.
It's Derek Welch, your race winner here at Daytona. Next, we're going to talk to, well, the teammate, the 51, Chris Klein, finishes here in the second spot. Once again, a podium finish here on a super speedway. Must be the paint job. Chris Klein, it's Steve in the booth. You got me?
Yes, sir.
Chris, congratulations once again. Here we are. We're on a super speedway, and we're chatting again. Nice run, second place finish. I really think that you helped your teammate Derek Welch quite a bit there at the end. Good for you, but you still bring it home into second position, man. Tell us about your race.
Rough race, trying to make up for last night. I was all over the place last night at Atlanta, which is kind of a super speedway race. Thought I'd do a lot better there. Frustrated leaving there last night. Came into the night wanting to do good and make up for that, and ran pretty good all night. Went to qualifying and was dismayed at how far off I was of the pace, and just had a mindset that I was going to sit in the back, and it just, I don't know, the doors opened up, and the next thing I knew I was up front, and just kind of maintained. And I want to apologize to Brandon Coleman. I probably slid up off the bottom more than I should have and got into an incident with him and kind of took it out on him after we went back to green there. That was probably my issue. I need to go back and look at it. But overall, yeah, it was fun. Derek was due for one. Wanted to make sure he got up there and got to enjoy one. He's always pushing me around these places and making sure that I stay up front, and tonight was just his night.
Well, it paid off in the end. Still a second place finish, even though you were helping the teammate this evening. Next week, we come into the final race of the season out at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Derek Welch kind of said the place kind of races like a super speedway, but you got to watch the tires. Would you kind of agree with that statement?
Yeah, the trucks are fun there. It's not quite like Atlanta. It'll spread out a little bit. If you can take care of the tires, which I fail to do at a lot of times, you can run it wide open pretty much the whole fuel run. But like we set up our races to where you generally have to run a set at least 2 fuel runs. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out and who can manage those tires the best and figure out a way to make them last to the end. Just want to commend the guys. Overall tonight was some great racing. Unfortunate that we had that late caution with I think 2 to go. We were 3 wide up front, and it was phenomenal. When the caution came out, all of us were just talking back and forth about how good the racing was, and just commend everybody that was a part of that up front, being 3 wide, battling that close, giving each other room, backing off, trying to push each other to the front. But it was fun. It's hard to find guys that you can race with like that consistently for that many laps in a row without killing each other. So it was a big plus for us tonight.
We saw that here on the broadcast, 3 wide for the top 9-10 cars, or trucks for that matter, for I want to say at least 5 or 6 laps. It was a sight to behold, very impressive. Pat on the back to all you guys that got that done, because 3 wide every single lap in these trucks here at Daytona, that's not necessarily the easiest of feats. Certainly not as easy it is as at Talladega, but you guys made it work for the most part. It was fun to watch, and either way, we still had a strong finish to this race, again, with you finishing here in the 2nd spot. Chris, congratulations again. Who do you want to thank before we let you go?
Yeah, I want to shout out Beaver Toyota, obviously. Love what that company does, how it treats its employees. Proud to be a part of that organization. Grateful for what they do and allowing me to put their name on our truck. Even though it's a sim truck, it's still fun to go in and talk about it and share the streams and the videos with the guys and show them my results. It's interesting when I walk in and have people asking me how I did last night and get to share the stories and share the videos. So that's always fun. Want to thank everybody over at NTRL, especially Derek. He does a lot. It gets overwhelming at times with all that goes on with sponsors and scheduling broadcast and finding broadcasters and time and all that stuff. All of our sponsors that sponsor our leagues from the top down, and I can't even name them all right now. There's so many of them that contribute. Very grateful for each and every one of them. I believe Davidson Builders is our primary sponsor for the truck series. We couldn't do this without them, for sure. Martin Sports, but all of those, and thanks to HBR TV. I cannot wait to go to work tomorrow and listen to the broadcast as I'm putting in some hours at work tomorrow and enjoying hearing Steve go on and on. So
all right, Chris, man, awesome job again. Thanks for the kind words. Wish you the best of luck next week.
Appreciate it. Have a good week.
Too. Chris Klein, your runner-up here at Daytona. Next, we're going to talk to the 41 of Chris Goins. Get him up into the HBR TV broadcast booth. And being that it's 2024, I hear he's going to announce a presidential run. Chris, it's Steve in the booth. You got us?
Hey, Steve. What's going on?
Chris Goins, congratulations, man. A solid top 3. It was a hairy green-white checker. I guess that's all we can really explain about it. Tell us what it was like on the cockpit side of that number 41 Popple Pro F-150.
Well, I mean, you said it. It was scary and hairy. So that's best way to describe it. So, it was, most people that know me and hear me in these interviews afterwards, I hate super speedway racing. But every once in a while, I'll have a night where it makes me think, okay, well, I can do this a little bit more. So tonight was one of those nights. Thank goodness that green-white checkered. I was trying to do everything I could to push Derek and Chris Klein out in front and kind of slide up in front of Zach and see if we could use some team strategy to push around the outside, but couldn't quite clear him, and so just settle for third and just push those guys around the track.
Well, nonetheless, third place finish at Daytona or Talladega or Atlanta or wherever we're considering a super speedway these days. Nothing to shake a stick at. Certainly an impressive run just to finish the race, but to finish top 3, that is saying something. Chris, congratulations again. We roll into Las Vegas Motor Speedway in a week for the season finale here in the Numb Thumbs Racing League. How do you feel about your chances out there in Sin City next week?
Well, me and Derek are going to have a talk because he said he wouldn't schedule back-to-back super speedway races. And Vegas in these trucks is basically a super speedway. So we'll see. I'm not in the points picture or anything like that. I've only run a handful of races this season, but been able to. No, I enjoy Vegas. Usually run pretty well there, so we'll see how it goes, and hopefully we can score another top 5.
Well, we're looking forward to it, certainly. Unfortunately for us here at HBR TV, I'll be traveling for the day job, so I think you may have AAA covering that finale. Nonetheless, congratulations here. Third place finish at Daytona. Chris, who do you want to thank before we let you go?
I want to thank Popple, HBR, Holler Boys Racing. It's nice to, officially be a member of the team. We'll run with all those guys enough to consider them teammates anyway, but nice to have the affiliation now. So Castle Packs Power, Eric Dotson Agency, HBRShops.com, Trackbar Media, you over at HBR TV. Appreciate you put these on so we can go back and watch them. Right Turn Wraps, Beatles Custom Carriers. So other than that, hopefully we'll see you next week.
All right, Chris. Well, thanks for talking to us again. Congratulations. Wish you the best of luck next week in Las Vegas.
Thank you, Steve.
It's Chris Goins, your third place finisher here at Daytona. That's going to wrap up the interview portion of our broadcast. Let's take a look at the race results before we get too deep into the woods. Of course, Derek Welch, Chris Klein, Chris Goins, your top 3 finishers. 4th was Tom Barish. Zach Millett battled back to finish 5th. Jesse Redding was 6th. Alfie Charon 7th. Skylar Harrod was 8th. PJ Cox 9th. Ben McKinnon finished in the 10th spot. Paul Durkee was 11th. Justin Lawson credited with 12th. Alan Grote 13th. Tony Polk was 14th. Caleb Sisk in the 6th was 15th. Jeff Ottinger finished in the 16th spot. Scott Milner was 17th. 18th went to Jacob Sperling in the number 88 machine. 19th place finisher Brandon Coleman. 20th was Jesse Sperling. Brian Torsha finished in the 21st spot. 22nd went to Eric Beadle after leading some laps here tonight. Mark Collins was 23rd. Chris Elliott 24th. Connor Leach, a tough night, 25th, and Joe Tucker, even tougher night, 26th. Last truck, 16 laps down. Joe Tucker out of this one early, unfortunately for him. A tough night for the 35. It is what it is. It's super speedway racing at times. Things were a lot less crazy tonight than we would expect to see in most cases, but as the seasons wind down, that tends to be the case. Guys get a little more experienced, comfortable with the guys they race with, and it just gets to better racing each and every week. With that said, one more race left. Again, it's next week, Las Vegas Motor Speedway. I don't have it confirmed that AAA Broadcasting will be covering that for us as I have to travel for work. They will likely pop on. If not, either way, we'll keep everybody posted. It should come down to a good finish and a good championship race next week out at Las Vegas. Got to thank you guys all in the stream chat. There was a bunch of you, as always. Thanks for communicating with me here. Thanks for chatting. Of course, Jesse Redding saying Goins for president. We had Albert Anderson. We had Lisa. We had Caleb Sibbett, Albert Anderson, Crystal Villano, Zach Amons, Tucker family, and more. Got to really do appreciate you guys being here. If you haven't already done it, please like the stream while you're here. It's free to do, and it's almost like money. It helps us quite a bit. Pushes the video out to some fresh eyeballs, not just for us here at the channel, but also more fresh eyes on the league. Maybe some guys are interested in coming up in the next season for the trucks here in the Davidson Builders Truck Series. It's a win-win across the board. Again, check out the website, hbrtv1.com, and on YouTube, youtube.com/@HBRTV and the number 1. With that said, I'm going to wrap it up here. Congratulations to Derek Welch getting that late season win here at Daytona. Thanks for watching, everybody. We'll see you at the next one.